let's fast forward now, few years later, where you are as an artist and as a woman. How have you shown up in your work with regards to the space of gender-based violence? When did it start affecting how you do things, and what has been your contributions towards that? I can start with Koleka this time.
I don't know if there's a moment where I can pinpoint when it started, and also because I don't know if as a creative who's also a woman who's also living in South Africa, who's constantly affected by femicide and gender-based violence, if you have the privilege of just like not engaging, and even if you don't. Even if you're not consciously aware of the fact that you're engaging, I think in some ways we do engage with it. So I don't know if I can pinpoint the moment, but I think, like, for me, I know that I am not necessarily like prompted by events that happen in this country, you know. So when a woman is murdered, it's not the thing that prompts me to speak out or write a poem or make a piece of theater about what's going on. I always say that gender-based violence and femicide is a 365-day issue in this country, even though like they've given us our small little corner there over 60 days of whatever's going on in December. But I think like my work or the way that I do it is, you know, I talk about it in the poetry that I do, make work about it, talk about it when, you know, I don't want to say when the spirit moves you to, but I guess when it feels like actually this has to be spoken about today, and not necessarily when the hashtag is trending. I think that's my relationship with this work, I guess.
As an actor, you are always called to do these various roles. And a lot of climaxes and plots tend to be some kind of violence towards women. And that is hugely problematic.
Sure.
Massively problematic. And how do we change that narrative? Why is this only a single story? This plain narrative of always the woman that is endangered. It doesn't matter what your genre, it doesn't matter which style you're using, but you always have women as victim. And if woman stands up and fights back, or if she ends up being perpetrator, then she is then classified as other. It's not normal. So then what is normal? I tend to choose characters or stories to tell stories where there is an edge to it, where there is a line, a borderline, where it could swing either way. For that, I end up getting quite a lot of flack online sometimes, because my choice is always to find a woman or characters that in some way are powerful. It doesn't matter that they can sometimes, when I say they, the character sometimes chooses their power to play from a negative point of view. But that the sense of vulnerability that we feel as women in our everyday lives somehow is not always represented on screen, because our audience needs to see a different us, a different reflection of who we are, a more, at the want of a better word, I want to say powerful, but it's more than power, because it's just a being, where the story is more than just another rape, just another smack, just another this, just another that. And it is an ongoing story and an ongoing narrative that we try and find stories that are just free from this constant sense of smothering, from this constant sense of being othered. I think all I've ever wanted is just to feel safe. And all I've ever wanted is just to be free. And both, three things actually, the safe and the being and the free, that be a 24/7 option, not a 2-minute option or an hour option, but that it is there all the time.
I think it's also become normalized in society for women's bodies to become a site of violence or a site of trauma or a site of tragedy. You know, that it's kind of normal for women's bodies to be tragic or to be brutalized in some way. And so that also kind of translates into the media and into entertainment and in those spaces. But I also, it's encouraging to also see now this wave of women kind of insisting on making work, taking on roles, insisting on roles where women can also be seen in states of joy and love and just in states of just being, you know, where like nothing's going on. It's just everything's going on because this is who we are, like in the day to day, you know, like I comb my hair, I brush my teeth, I'm in love with someone, I have tea, you know, like, and that's actually like the reality of my life. I'm not always like dragged from one point of, you know, the street to another, even though that may be the reality of a woman at some point, but it is not the reality of all women all the time. So we have different parts of our lives and of our being that I think is important to make work and talk about, so that the woman in a state of just being is also a thing that's normalized.
Yeah, so powerful. And I think we overlook the fact that some of us just want to exist without the fight, without, you know, having to prove that I'm supposed to be here and this is my space too. And so I think that's just a powerful thing to reflect on, that it's not always about the fight. We just want to exist as women as we are.